All right, folks, after months of holding steady, the Fed is finally moving again. Here to discuss is Birch Gold Group, precious metal specialist. Good to have Phillip Patrick back. Boy, a lot of people were waiting. I think there's highly, widely expected a quarter point cut. Some people said maybe 50 basis points. Some people said, well, what if he doesn't stick his thumb at Trump? Quarter point, what does it mean for you, Patrick? It's the second move, first one being at the end of Biden's term.
Sorry, it was a quarter point drop, nothing significant. Like you said, the markets had priced it in 95% chance. It's a move in the right direction. Trump needs lower rates. The hope was to lower borrowing costs and to stimulate the economy. The concerning part about the rate drop, though, we dropped rates, borrowing rates, increased on the Treasury. So what that tells us, despite the Fed lowering rates, demand for U.S. debt is waning, which means borrowing costs are increasing. That was the one thing we didn't want to see on the back of it, and sadly it happened. That, for me, is a big concern moving forward. It's exactly what the president doesn't need right now. We're trying to grow the economy. We don't want to be burdened with borrowing costs. That's probably the biggest problem we have today.
Philip, I'm looking at $3,716 the ounce as we speak right now. And another one of the guys in the control room said, he said, I've been holding silver for a long time, pushing 40. What do you say, 43 $3 an ounce? I remember silver was like $4 an ounce when I first started playing around this game. It's amazing how consistent the metals markets have been, even with varying degrees of interest rates and varying degrees of inflation. They just seem to continue up that trajectory.
You're absolutely right. They've been bucking trends. I mean, gold was always considered a safe haven asset, not for times of economic boom. Look at gold during Trump's first term. Dow ran 50%, gold ran about 50%. So it's bucking trends. It's going up in upward markets and going up in downward markets. And I think it's all because there is a real understanding globally that with $37 trillion in debt, $2 trillion annual deficits, an inability at the moment to close that gap, it's problematic for anyone holding dollars. And I think there's a move now around the world being driven by central banks back to hard assets. I've mentioned before, gold became the #2 global reserve asset last year. It overtook the euro, now constitutes 20% of global reserve. But there is a long way to go. Go back to the 1980s, gold was more than 50% of global reserves. Central banks now are saying that is the trend. They are going to continue down. 75% of central banks that were surveyed said that they are massively increasing gold holdings over the next half a decade. So things are moving. I think they'll continue to move. And sadly, it's a reflection of the debt position we are in, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
And this is a bit wonky, but I've done this a long time, and so have you, Philip. But you look at the dollar, the value of the U.S. dollar, it has plummeted for the last 3+ years. It's just almost straight down, a little blip up when Trump got elected, but then it's just continued its downward path. And what folks really need to realize, the world is pushing the dollar lower for whatever reason. Other currencies are getting stronger. But when the dollar goes down, that makes things like gold and silver more valuable. So prices of those go up.
It's exactly right? That's why central banks are buying it. Gold and the dollar have an inverse relationship. When dollars become weaker, we need more weaker dollars to buy the ounce, hence the inverse relationship. But that's a very important concept people need to understand, because what it also tells us is gold's price doesn't really have a top, because currency's value doesn't have a bottom. And a very extreme example of that, 1 ounce gold bar in after World War I in Germany, 142 German marks. The Germans go through quantitative easing, hyperinflation takes a grip in the Weimar Republic. 10 years after it cost 142 German marks, an ounce of gold was 87 trillion German marks. Now, that is obviously a very extreme scenario, but it explains why gold's growing and why I think it's going to continue.
It's amazing. I've spent so many years wondering, when is gold going to make that correction? Once in a while it corrects, but it certainly has been a wild and woolly ride for the gold market and precious metals markets. Phillip Patrick, always good having you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. When is Ilhan Omar going to be held accountable for anything? Trump called her out by name, as she's still smearing Charlie Kirk's name, trying to twist his legacy. Listen to this lunatic.
I I do believe those of you who are interested in rewriting this hateful man's history are full of.
Thank you. A little potty mouth from the congresswoman who walked into Congress, married her brother to give him citizenship, brought her husband in, and somehow the two of them, Ilhan Omar and her husband, somehow that family made $30 million in the last few years, just sucking off the government teat in Washington, D.C. It's disgusting. Apparently, Tampon Tim Walz got upset when Trump called out Ilhan Omar. He went on MSNBC to whine about it, and of course made his entire argument about race. Yep, Tampon Tim, listen.
Yeah, you see, here's what I would hope, Chris, that the libertarians out there, the folks that fly the Gadsden flag, they would be appalled by this. You don't have to agree with Ilhan Omar. She's representing her people. She's voted in. She's a citizen. She's doing good work. She didn't do anything on this to Donald Trump other than she disagrees with his horrific policies, just like I do. But we all know why he's going after her, because she's a Muslim woman, and that's just what he does. And he tries to stir up hate. And look, Donald really runs this stuff up. When I still want to know where the Epstein list is for President Trump. I still want to know what you're going to do about prices out here. I want you to make sure you get some contracts for soybeans with China, which are at zero and have a chance of destroying farm economy across middle America. So, look, this is all part of the plan, but it's horrific. And you can be certain when Donald Trump puts that out, Congresswoman Omar and her family are put at risk. So we're talking about this political violence thing. We have got to get back to the decency.
The only people who are at risk for political violence are people on the right because the people on the left keep shooting them. Stop it, Tim Walz, you clown. Apparently, according to I would say one of America's dumbest congresswomen, committing a crime doesn't make you a criminal. Listen to Jasmine Crockett's head scratcher.
Understanding what ends up having people become criminally impacted really informs so much of what I do legislatively, right? So when people are like, oh, crime is terrible. And yes, it is, right? Like, because when somebody goes out and commits a crime, they don't typically, say, well, I'm a D or I'm an R or I'm an I. It's not like literally like, it's about, well, how do you fix it? How do you make communities safer? And I do think that I'm in a unique situation because I was having the conversations with people that were going out and committing crimes. And so I understood what was kind of pushing them there. And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different. Being a criminal is more so about your mindset. Committing a crime can come for a lot of different reasons.
So she says committing a crime doesn't make people a criminal. Okay, sure, Jazz, and the guy goes, well, like some profound statement, which is absolutely wrong and dumb. By definition, if you commit a crime, you are a criminal. Sorry, it's the way it is. It's a textbook. Now, whether you're guilty of the crime or not, that's to be debated. But once you commit the crime, you become a criminal. Unless she's talking about until you're incarcerated or judged by a jury of your peers. I don't know. She's a whack job. J.B. Pritzker is still comparing Donald Trump to Nazis. Remember, he said he never did that. Even after everything that's transpired with Charlie Kirk, this despicable man, the governor of Illinois, is still running his mouth. Listen, his big
Look, I built a Holocaust museum with survivors. I've also read a whole lot about authoritarian regimes. This is the playbook, folks. If you're not paying attention now and doing something about it, well, then you're going to have to sit down the rest of your life because democracy is being taken away.
This guy wants to be president. It's a scary stable of people they have on the left that want to be president. Okay, I guess we're going to do break. Is that what you want to do, Mad Dog? Is that where we're going?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do it. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.